What's up, lads? It's Sinclair Armstrong, and you're watching the Training 1-to-1 podcast.
I feel like everyone looks at me. I know I clap in.
Well,
But
whoever
then we're
sits
straight
in
away.
that chair intros.
Not at all true.
If you
Not at
went
all true.
through
That
any-
means it would be me every single time.
Yeah, but sometimes I
times
sit in
not.
your seat if it's me and Daly. And then I typically start the conversations when I'm in your seat.
So Daily just never intros.
Thanks.
Well, I was going to say, the best seat in the house is your seat, especially if it's a guest here, because it's a direct
Yeah, that's fair.
eye
I'm
line.
pivoting. Yeah. Okay.
So, you know what I mean? There's no need to be getting uptight about it.
It's just an observation.
Well, I don't see what the problem is in it.
Why is there always hostility coming into the podcast? Can we just
Hostile
take a deep breath?
Tuesdays.
I hope the audience took that deep breath
Yeah.
with us. Welcome to the podcast.
Beautiful.
Nice and calm.
All right, I'm here. That was
Yeah,
good.
that was good. That was good. Right. Do you want to say something?
Is that a Shaquille O'Neal reference?
What? Say that again.
I said his name.
Is that a Shaquille O'Neal?
It wasn't that funny, Morgan. It wasn't that funny. It wasn't that funny, man.
Shakir O'Neal.
I said, was that a Shaquille O'Neal reference?
It was. It was. Him being rude on the
God.
what's Logan Paul's podcast called? Impulsive. Very rude to that poor fella George. Is that his name, George?
What did he do? I
He was
didn't.
just so rude.
Really? Shaq's himself.
Watch it. He does. But I didn't like him at all after watching it.
You
and
said
if you're
that you're-
unsure, look at the clips of it and you could be like, oh, your man George doesn't talk. Who cares? Don't be rude to a man. Very blatantly. And his two supposed mates, I know they're not mates anymore, sitting there laughing at him. Joke. If one of our guests came on and was like to you,
Just
he was like,
rinsing
why
one of
aren't
us.
you doing the intro? You're so quiet. I'm like, you shut up.
Anyway.
Yes, that's that. We said we'd do a Q&A, got the audience to ask some questions, so let's just dive right in there. Key question. Paddy Elliott, of course, just health info. Our health and science communication officer. Will the Calgath Kitties ever win Division 1 title? Yes,
Didn't
is my
get there
answer.
on FIFA 23. 22.
I need to find out what the new Pro
23.
Clubs layout is.
The new Pro Clubs layout is bizarre to me.
I
Have you
didn't
seen it?
understand that.
So it's like, now it's only 5 divisions. It's league matches, but you can't get relegated. Right? So it will give you a points tally, i.e. 20 points. You play X amount of games to get 20 points. When you do that, it will then bring you to what's called a promotion match, where it's like win 2 of 4. And if you don't win them, you just... I presume we haven't done it yet, where you go back to the start and just get the 20 points again in the same division. It's very strange. And then there's playoffs.
regulation,
There's playoffs like once a month or something like that, or every 30-something days. And I still don't know what the crack is with that.
Why'd
It
you get
seems
rid
like
of
it goes into a
relegation?
league
That's bad.
format. It's weird.
The world is changing to get rid of fail, and
Yeah. Oh my
relegate.
God, that's what it is.
it's mad.
That's what it is.
It could be.
That is what it is.
It's turned into American sports. They're mad for that.
Yeah.
No relegation.
I hate it.
Yeah.
There has to be an upside and a downside. There has to be. It has to be consequential.
But I think what they're trying to get more competitively is those
the playoffs.
playoff games that are every 30 days.
But that's a table then as well. I'm not, but like you win rewards or something. We probably should have done our research.
thing-
But
This is going to go
I-
off
well, I
the
did
FIFA
read an
topic,
article.
but
Go on.
do you ever see like when a team stays up in the Premier League, how the celebrations are unbelievable?
Mm-hmm.
It's
that's a
mad, like,
that's a
it must be
monetary
s-
thing. But
yeah.
again, upside and huge downside. Jobs are at stake there.
Yeah.
So it is a
It
huge
must be such a relief. like.
positive.
yeah.
Bring
And I
back
was gonna say, if
relegation.
people are wondering what the Calgary Kitties are, it's our Pro Clubs team,
Oh yeah,
just in case.
that might have been a good
But I
way
think
to
we've
start.
the OGs of the podcast should
I was
know
going
what
to say,
the Calgary Kitties
I
are.
feel like that didn't need a definition. If you're new, thanks for the
Who came up with that
jumping in
name?
there. I think it was me.
It was our Rocket League name.
Yeah. CGK.
Yeah. so I think
Calgath
that
Kitties.
was-
We used to always say it messing. Like, say,
Yeah.
I think whenever there was some sort of camaraderie or team thing, be like, oh, Calgath Kitties. But stupid. We're from Calgath.
or Alpha Wolf Squadron.
That's
but-
also ridiculous.
But that's from Shrek.
yeah.
Calgary Kitties is from something, Morgan. I can't remember.
It originated somewhere. It was something why we always used to bring it up.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what it is. So the answer to me is yes.
Yeah. FIFA is a fun game, I'd say. It's funny how different people play FIFA. You know what I mean?
There's personalities.
There is personality.
There's a Brendan Curran, i.e. Doyler. Great name.
Kern.
Brendan Curran. He said he's a steady Eddie.
There's a wild horse like
There's
me,
a Wout Weghorst.
but they can't
Which-
call him that.
Explain that, please. The audience needs to hear this.
What was Why did this name change originally? I think I just called it my name, and I don't know why. It changed randomly to a name for some reason, and then I tried to change it to Weghorst, and then it done it for like a day. Then it changed me to Riley Wallace, and then I was like, "What the hell?" So I changed it back to Weghorst, but it kept saying that.
You can't use it.
Yeah, offensive.
Offensive.
Even though it's his actual name.
It's a literal footballer.
Yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
some. I've
I've
seen
seen
some dark
the
names.
diciest names.
Yeah, very dicey.
And then I just became Riley Wallace.
Mm. It is funny though, like how people play football different ways, play FIFA in different ways. It's just one of those things, you know.
You're right. You're right. Right. More specific question. What's our opinions on the weighted footballs?
I'll go first.
I think they're very important. I think it's a good idea. Remember when I was younger, trying to ping I used to use, that's why I'm massively old, but do you remember the O'Neill's footballs? Not the ones that they try to do, the 370s now, with the real old ones, where it was like just a big fat O'Neill's logo down the middle and this like red leather.
Yes.
When you're young trying to ping that, it was very difficult, very challenging.
Yeah, but
they use size 4s as well.
I was going to say, do you not use size 3s and size 4s?
No weight difference though. Well, I suppose because it's not as big, there's not as much weight, but they were still very heavy. While a 370 or a 270, is it 270?
290 is 370?
290?
It's 320, 370, 290.
I think you're right. Yeah. Anyway,
grams, by the way.
Are they size 4s?
No, they're all size 5s.
They're all-
Oh, that's the thing. That's the thing, yeah.
I think that's a really good idea that they're all size 5. So you're dealing with the same size. But for example, a young kid transitioning to 7-a-side or 9-a-side or 11-a-side, there is generally a few outliers who are massive, as in terms of size. They can ping, no problem, good technique. I think it's very important for other players to get used to contacting the ball where when you tell the ball with a specific technique what to do, it actually moves and does its show. So you're learning the proper technique as opposed to resulting to changing your technique just to get this thing off the ground where it's not necessary. That would be my rationale behind it.
Yeah, I'm weighted footballs in. But does any other country do like that? I think in the UK they now still play with size 4s and all.
With different weights though?
The size is interesting. I'd imagine it would be kind of beneficial at younger ages to mix up the size.
In what way?
There's kind of, I would just imagine it would be something that would be good. I don't know why. There's that kind of differential learning thing.
Like Arteta was doing.
Yeah. Did you ever see that?
Mm-hmm.
Where they do like there's that famous clip of the Arsenal team where they're doing a rondo. They're 3 of them are passing like a tiny ball and they're throwing a tennis ball and then like someone presses and they're obviously trying to keep it away from a player. I actually haven't read enough into that, but I presume there's some reason why you would use different shaped balls, especially at the younger ages.
It does make sense. I mean, if you've got a small, like if you're looking at, like if you were to picture a 5-a-side game of like under 8s, it does make sense that the shorter the person, the shorter the football. Like it does make sense logically, but it also makes sense logically to have people using
With
the
the
same
same
equipment
size,
as
yeah.
they would from when they're 6 to when they're pros, even just in foot position, stuff like that. It is interesting.
So it's more so training day versus game days because you could train with different size footballs to get that exposure, but then on game day, if you're not using the same one, it's like right.
You should still play and train as close. You should train as close to a game as you can.
Yeah,
I think, which would be your same equipment.
Yeah,
I always
there's
like
rationale behind it all.
Yeah, like when we were doing club football, do you do this at UCD actually? Do you train with your match balls in games? Or do you just use training? Do you know, like your age though, it's a bit different though. Training footballs are much more, match balls are much more expensive than training footballs.
Yeah, no, we just would train with training balls there.
Because in when we were in Stella, because the 320 gram footballs for like 11s, for example, you'd be training with the same footballs as you play games with, which was great.
Yeah.
But then you go, the problem is like there's a big difference between an O'Neill's 320 ball and a precision 320 ball, because we used to go, like Kevin's used to use precision, used to go there, it was just clogged with water, those footballs. And then the O'Neill's ones are a bit like more airy, so you can bomb a free kick with them from 40 yards. That was a bit of a pain in the ass, but like that's not like
that shouldn't be how it is though. Like the weight should be the weight, you know.
Yeah, well, footballs do.
They're
like
all designed differently.
I don't think
aren't
like the FIFA quality footballs. Like I can't see the bar being too high to be FIFA graded as a football. You know what I mean? Because I think like even those
That's fair.
O'Neill's ones and all, like there's always going to be, it's kind of like a pair of football. Like it's the same in the pro game. Like the difference between like a Jabulani football and a Champions League football and the Premier League football.
They talk a lot about, for example, Cup weekend, Carabao Cup, used the mortar footballs. Completely different.
Yeah.
It's completely different football.
If you watch Man City TV, like it's if the next game's Champions League, the
Their
football's
Champions League,
turned straight away.
Yeah.
ridiculously quick. Yeah, and because they want to be training with what they play with. Obviously, they're professional footballers. It's a little bit different.
But why should
And they
kids
have
be
the
different
access.
though? I
But they have
kids
the
are-
access. That's the thing.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But I mean,
Th-
if
they're
you could get as
sensitive.
close to the thing as possible. But I mean, back to it. Yeah, I think from under like let's say 4 years of age, like in academies, 5, 6. I think when you start playing games like 5v5, 7v7s, you should go to a size 5.
Yeah.
I think. But
For
under
your
that,
games,
then
yeah.
like toddlers and like little
Experiment,
kickers and all. Yeah, size 3 and all. Yeah.
Yeah,
Should a size 5 football be half the size of a small 4-year-old?
it's fair enough.
I mean,
Let's stick on that topic then. This is a good question. The thoughts on the 3v3 youth format adopted by the Germans?
It's interesting. Have you seen much of this?
I heard about it. I don't know the age groups though. Sorry, can somebody clarify the age groups?
So I have a rough overall look of it. So what they describe as G youth is under 6 and 7s. They play 2v2s, 3v3s. And the game is played with 4 mini goals. So each team defends 2 goals, no goalkeepers. Right? So that's what they do. And they have line for a 2v2 and from within, or to be scored from inside the center line for a 2v2 and from within a 6 meter line shooting zone for 3v3. After each goal, both teams automatically change 1 player each. So that's the real young kids, under 6 and 7. For under 8 to 9, they recommend 3v3. They obviously have set things, but I'm not going to go through the whole thing. You can look it
I
up,
wonder
obviously.
with the 2v2s, is it like there's just a constant 2v2 on the same pitch? Or is it like you know, if we have a group of 10 players, we do 2v2s and there's people standing? Or when
Good
they're
question. Good question.
like that, when it says change a player, does that mean the 2 player, like one swaps on each team?
My
or
guess though is that those
one comes
teams
out?
only have like 6 players though. And a 2v2, if
Yeah.
you're playing 2v2 for 5 minutes, you're dead. Like,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah,
in
that's
bits.
what I mean.
I'd say
yeah.
it's constant rotations with
I'd say
people
it is.
standing around, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good way to do it.
Yeah, I suppose it depends on how many, but yeah.
Yeah.
And then what's a 3v3s for?
Yeah, and then for under 8 to 9, F youth is 3v3 games. 3v3 is as for the G youth. 5v5 is played either to 4 mini goals without goalkeepers or 2 small field goals for outfield players plus a goalkeeper. So it depends on what you want to do. Suggested playing time is around 12 minutes. After each round, the winning team advances 1 pitch and the losing team advance 1 pitch. So I presume they've loads set up then.
Oh, okay, yeah.
This is more so for the 3v3s. So this is
Yeah.
when you, under 8 to 9s, you end up having what? 12 players?
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
more. So that's kind of the next step up. And then it's under 10 to 11, 5v5 or 7v7. 5v5 is for F youth. Game is always restarted by shooting in or dribbling in. Right? Then 7v7 is played on 2 small field goals with 6 outfield players and 1 goalkeeper per team. Tournament format with 4 teams and playing times of 12 minutes each is recommended. Game is continued with a throw in. So then they start to integrate it in.
7 aside is the first time they put a keeper in.
Well, you can do it in the 5v5, they said.
Oh, okay, right.
If so, you can decide to play into 4 mini goals or play
Oh.
2 small sided goals. So
interesting.
it's kind of choice. Also, that's good for depending on venue. Also, come on, let's mix it up this week. It's a good idea for games.
And some teams just would have a kid who wouldn't want to be a goal.
Essentially,
Or don't
the German body stated the new design makes football more child friendly in the relevant age groups. The smaller the groups, then the more ball contact the individual player
Yeah.
has. That's pretty much it. That's the rationale.
2 goals are great for decision making as well.
And then
Defending and
100%.
play.
And then they followed on by saying, especially underperforming or physically inferior children have been lost in the classic competition formats and have lost the fun of the game and chance for further development. So yeah, gives everyone a chance. Good formats for learning the game from a young age. You know what kids can be like in 5v5s from like too young. The headless chickens all chasing the ball. If you put them in 2v2, more contact, more times to make their own decisions, easier to coach also.
Yeah. My favorite format of coaching now at the minute is a 3v3, or because I think like 3v3s are so easily conveyed across multiple different facets in it, like attacking and defending. Like defending, just like even like pressure cover balance. You can talk about that with all units. Like you've got a front 3, it's 3 players. You've got a midfield 3, it's 3 players. Typically, if the ball is wide right, for example, it's your right full back, your right centre half, and your 6 defending. Like everything in football is, you can break it down into 3v3 games more so, and I think you can work on that within like a 20 by 15 grid. It makes sense to me, as we were talking about there, like the footballs, like you could easily train 3v3 and play 3v3. And I think every time a player steps into that pitch, they have a good concept of nailing in what you've been working on, if that makes sense. Because if you're doing a topic with a player on, let's say he's 8 years of age, and they're going into it like a 5v5 or 7v7, as the press release said there, you do get lost sometimes. Like you might only get that practice like once in the game, whereas if you're practicing 3v3s in training, then you're going to a 3v3 game on
more
the weekend.
recognizable, like
familiar,
yeah.
It's like, oh, I saw that. And then like that neuroplasticity kicks in, because how many times, like even in senior games, I know senior players talk about this all the time, you work on something all week, you go play the weekend and it's just like a different game entirely. Whereas kids need to develop the skill sets much more so than what senior footballers do. So that's definitely the best way to create that neuroplasticity.
Yeah, the whole idea of game IQ, game intelligence is by creating that familiar environment. But then they got to make their own decisions.
It takes the pressure off staff on building curriculums and stuff like that. Because if you're playing 3v3s, it's so easy just to focus on, let's say scanning and back foot receiving, and just focus on that in the 3v3 format. Like you probably said that you could do that for all formats, but I mean, it's so evidently there in front of you, repeating itself every single time. It's like you're just feeding information into the algorithm all the time. Whereas if it's a 7v7, I mean,
there's
you're
so
looking
many
at your
more
back
moving
two.
parts.
So many more moving parts.
Yeah,
it's
and
better
then,
for coaches.
and then
like
for a coach
coaches
who's
are going to get better.
inexperienced or maybe doesn't even know what's going on, which is a lot of community coaches. And again, we will have this bigger discussion on a podcast soon. But it's like, you get to really focus in and learn your skill set. So, okay, I'm good at coaching this technical aspect. Really nail that down and make sure the kids have a good grasp of that. Then you can start moving on and challenging yourself with more things. But like that, it's easier to coach what you exactly see in front of you.
And you see it all the time. Like, even if we go back to, like, even on my B license, for example, it's always like when you're making a coaching point, affect the player on the ball, obviously, but try to affect the players around them as well. You're already in the habit of that if you're doing 3v3 coaching all the time. You're just so used to going bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
It's
So,
a win-win for everybody.
Yeah,
that's true.
Definitely so. So I was, as before you even brought that up, it was a good point. Is there anything that we as coaches, so for example, we do this anyway, luckily with supplemental coaching, a lot of our sessions are based around SSGs and coaching in them. But for teams, let's say an under-8s team in a local community club that has 12 players, yes, they're not going to go out and play a 3v3 at the weekend, unfortunately. That's just not how it's set up. It is here at the moment. But is there a way to like consistently integrate that in? Obviously, a lot of coaches would probably say, right, well, we don't play 3v3 at the weekend, so I'm going to spend more time doing technique or technical coaching and then go straight to a bigger game, 6v6, and let them just run riot for a while. While you could probably integrate that very early in a session, like the game, train, play, or game, play,
Practice,
play. Sorry,
That's
that
French.
premise. That's a brilliant concept as well. So as soon as you arrive for a session, get them in the familiar 2v2 or 3v3, reiterate what you're going to be looking at for the session, then practice it in isolation with semi-pose, run-a-pose sessions, and then go straight back to it and maybe add layers, and then you can make it more fun and try new things in there. But is there a way, like, to, again, you said obviously no curriculum for community coaching makes it a little bit easier, but is there a way to kind of take some lessons from that model and then integrate it like into everyday sessions, or is just doing SSGs the part of it?
Yeah, I know we're going to touch on that podcast a little bit more. But yeah, the less confidence or experience you probably feel like you have as a coach, if you're only maybe a volunteer parent, whatever it might be, means you should probably go to the game as much as possible. So like that 2v2s, 3v3s and so on. And then, like you said, build yourself out from there. You think, right, I want to challenge myself a little bit. I want to do these small side of games, and then I actually want to work on a certain thing for 10, 15 minutes and then put them back into the small side of games, like that play, practice, play. If you're ever in doubt, small side of games is the best way to go, in the sense of the game being the teacher, I would say. And then, like you said, build it out from there. It's a good point you made on going back to that model. If you're going to be coaching a 3v3 on the weekend with the team, and you're training like that, you'll just see everything from the training. But like that, when it goes 5v5, 7v7, and even 11v11 games, it's like, it's just everything's moving too quick nearly. And you're trying to find the little 3v3 things you might have worked on. Like, for example, I'll take something from something myself, Shane, and Jay work on big time with our team, UCD, is we might try isolate, like, right, we want to create 3v2s in wide areas with our fullback, our winger, and our 10 or whatever it is. So we might work on that. but then you're trying to see that on the weekend. It's so much harder because it depends on how the other team defends. It depends on maybe the movement of some of your players. Whereas, like you said, if it's you're practicing 3v3s in your Monday and Wednesday session, let's say, and then you're playing it on the Saturday, it's so easy to see them patterns. Whereas, like, the more the numbers get up, more moving parts, and that's why the best coaches are the best coaches in the world, is they can pull the patterns out of the 11v11. But yeah, it's definitely a good model. Because it's interesting here. It's 5v5, isn't it? Is the smallest we go to.
Yeah, it is. Great format too.
The big
Also
thing
with
though
the big
here
long
is-
goals.
I was going to say, the thing about that is, like, think how much space you need to run one of them set of things. Like, if you're doing them 2v2 games,
Yeah, and you need like a few of them.
and like we talked about facilities here before,
Yeah.
sometimes people have a 12th of an Astro to train on, or a 6th of an Astro. So it's, I imagine Germany has a lot different facilities.
Well, they
wise
said
to us,
that
but-
about that type of route doctor brought in, like the back-to-back 5v5 games, and they said that there's going to be uproar about that. But I think we adapted pretty
How
quick
big are
to
the
that.
5v5s?
I don't know the exact formats. They released a great document on it when it first came
Yeah.
out. That was like you could fit it in your coaching bag. Like a pocket. It was great. It was. It's quality. But yeah, I could see the
Did you
diagram.
coach 5 or 77? Was that your first?
77.
Yeah.
Great format too.
77's across 11-side pitch, isn't it?
Yeah. So if
So you
you
can
were
have
to
two.
you use the touch line of this is how we do. We try to use the white lines that's naturally on the pitch. So the goal line, and then do you know the big circle in the middle of
D?
the pitch?
Yeah.
Take the lip of that on the inside,
Yeah.
and then draw a straight line, and that was perfect dimensions for a pitch.
And
And
9v9's box to box, isn't it?
9v9's box to box.
But,
Yeah,
but the width is brought in.
width of the box you can do, or you can play full width.
Yeah.
Both are allowed. Again,
Depends who you're playing against.
yeah, we used to get slagged all the time. If you're playing against one of the big dogs,
Bring it in.
bring it in. Slide 2 banks of 4. Or the rocking baby. Slide the screen. That's a good format
The
too,
low
man.
block.
Not a lot of
Yeah,
people
but I
coach
think
fans.
that German one is good. It's really good. I think
Yeah.
it'd be
I'm
a
all
very
for it.
interesting concept. Again, we probably won't see the product of that though. But also, Germany already have a fantastic culture.
But
just
they're
trying to
clever. They
expand it.
they changed it before the World Cup they won. It's 2010 they won. What was when Götze scored? It was 2010, wasn't it? No, sorry.
2012 is the Euros. Yeah, 2010 would have been.
They, like, previously to that had a poor kind of run, and they, like, that, I can't remember what they done with their youth football. At that time, they kind of got that whole Ozil, Khedira, that whole generation. So then, obviously, this will be their
Next crop.
hopefully
Because
their
they
next
actually
crop.
are going through a bit of a
They've been
bad
great
spell at the
recently. Yeah.
moment.
So
We'll see.
be interesting.
Very interesting. Very interesting. What
Good
are we
question.
doing is the question. What are we doing? You were saying there was that big action plan coming.
They released that thing a while ago. That was like an overall, mainly infrastructure actually. So it was interesting to read though.
We'll see.
Right. Sorry, I'm just reading through them here. Going from our boy Daz. Do you feel we have any love lost for football with being in the supplemental coaching market / team coaching as well?
It's definitely different.
Like football as a whole. I'd say it's definitely different, yeah. When you're in it the whole time.
It's interesting. Like when I listened to Rory's podcast back, so he wasn't here for it when you done it with him. I like resonated so much with the way he talks about football. Like if I'm having a day off, I would just throw on a game of football. It's like yeah. I just feel like I don't think I have any love lost for it, so to speak. Obviously, just days where like you're a bit frustrated with something like you've done or a player or whatever, but
I
that's
have
gonna
a
happen no
weird
matter what.
relationship with football though. Because like
I'm sick of United.
I don't want to play.
I'm sick of United.
That's fair.
We'll get on to that, but
But the funny thing, I'm sick of them as well. But I will make sure I'm back on a Saturday to watch it.
actually, sorry.
I have that camaraderie feeling towards United, especially when we're down. Do you know that?
I'm
getting
actually
behind them.
Yeah, I take back
I'm not
what I
getting
said at
behind
the
a lot of
start.
them. But I'm
United
getting
are-
behind. Like, I have to.
What it should
I
stand
feel
for.
like, who am I if I don't watch them now? Or have been watching them for X amount of years. And I have been. And I'm making sure I do. My dad, I hope he's listening to this. He's a joke. He's a joke of a man. we're 2-0 down after 20 minutes. Joke. We're shy. We'll walk out of the thing. We go 3-2 up. He's back in. Like, no, that's not how it works. It's not how it works.
Through
I'm
thick
making
and
sure,
thin.
if I can at all, obviously we missed the game tonight because we're coaching. But if I can at all, I'm making sure I'm watching it. That doesn't mean but that's United. Anyway, like I said, I have a weird relationship with football because I will never go back playing. But in terms of like overall love lost for football, no. But it is frustrating being around it. It's not so much the football. I think it's more so with everything else that kind of goes around it, depending on maybe
Politics.
for the politics, essentially meaning issues within clubs, maybe dealing with parents if you're in a team environment, so on and so forth. There's a lot that goes to it. So that I can see can disjoint and separate you from the love of football. But I don't have that, luckily. But I can see why.
Yeah, to be honest, I've never really had massive issues on that sort of things, external with parents and all that. But again, it's still to me, there's nothing more you'd like to do than to go out. Imagine like just a fresh pitch, bag of footballs, cones, and X amount of players to work on whatever you want to work on. It's just like, I don't know. I just love being on the pitch coaching, like, to be honest.
You?
Yeah, I hate it.
No, I mean, the older I've gotten, the more I've just ventured into other things, I suppose. I don't know, like football, I'm more into coaching than I am football, if that makes sense. I've definitely burnt out of team coaching still, like even the thought about going back. Now, to be honest, I went to watch your game against Sheld and I could still feel like the itch to get up and scream or something. You know, there's nothing better than a competitive game of football. It is great, but no, I'm still a fan of it. What I definitely have lost is like a love of studying football, if that makes sense. Like I will still, I'd more so pick up a book and read psychology about how to help players rather than a tactics book, if that makes sense. I'm kind of looking at it more on a human to human level rather than a human to coach level. I think that's just because like there's so many coaches that are doing a bad job, and I always think like they're all like, if you watch their training sessions though, they're all like excellent. So I was like, what's the missing piece here? And I just have found a bit more of a love towards the humanistic aspects of it. But that's the same in life in general though. I've kind of fell more into the bracket of like
Climbing mountains.
Yeah, to put it lightly, just internal dialogues.
That's good though.
I
That's
find
good though.
It aids football.
I find everything, pretty much anything I see about day-to-day life, I can always relate back to football. I find, I feel like I've learned like things subconsciously just through different elements of football, either playing, coaching, or whatnot. I don't know. It's weird.
That is true. I remember even having that conversation with myself in school and in college about like, oh, this would be great for football.
Well, even
Yeah.
the opposite of like football being great for like even
that's
things
true.
like time, like just like timekeeping, small, like just such little small.
It's a
things.
vehicle, man. We discussed
Yeah.
this on the virtual program during the lockdown. Football is a vehicle for learning.
A better life, so I say.
Just learn it all the
Yeah,
time.
no, sport in general is well.
You say that, right? About coaching wise, yeah. Supplemental, for me anyway. Absolutely. But like, if you were to try drag me out and coach a team, or you're telling me instead of working for 3 hours on a Sunday, which we do and I love, that I have to go out on a Saturday morning and coach a team, I just have no interest. Or play a game.
I think he'd be different if you actually worked with a team. I think you'd get all in on it.
No, I don't think so.
There's a big difference between when you imagine a relationship you have with some of your players who you see once a week and multiply it by 3, basically, because that's kind of what it is. Like especially if you have a team that you get on well with and they're a good age that you like working with and all, you can actually like it. You just see them grow up. Like
Yeah, I
Ronaldo
know,
Carroll's
I
a
know.
great example. He's been
Yeah.
with his team since
They were kids.
under
Yeah.
academy till what are they, 16, 17s?
I think they're 18.
17s, 18s now, yeah. Like that is to have that journey, and that will come back in 10 years' time where he'll bump into 10 or 15 of them and they'll go for a coffee with him or see him in the pub, whatever it might be like. And that relationship you get from the more contact time you have with them.
Yeah, but I still think we
what
do
would
get
kill
that
you
though.
is if you were coaching another 10 team, you'd go and put the goals up and all that other.
No,
I don't
listen,
even think I'd
that
do that
doesn't
anymore.
bother me too much. It's the whole environment of it. I just
Yeah.
maybe because I had a bad experience playing. That's probably one factor to it. But
Big thing difference though between managing and coaching the team.
oh, huge
In particular, in the
Huge.
sense like if you're a coach, you could just
Huge.
if you have a good manager, obviously you get to do the fun bit, so to speak. So
I
it's
have
like Bugsy.
always had the itch though for supplemental.
yeah.
Little did I know that it like Joe, you used to watch videos back in the day or whatever, but there was very little of it when we were growing up. More so for me, less probably for you. It's not that there's a massive difference, but it did kind of spike when I was getting over.
The first one I ever seen was, did you ever see the lads used to do it in Spain? With the pros?
Yeah, in doing a pre-season.
Yeah.
In
and you used to have kind of
off-season.
League One Championship lads.
Very cool. Just that was in Portugal, I think.
Portugal, yeah.
Yeah. I remember we used to watch
Yeah,
them videos.
that was the first thing I remember.
But I had the bug. Like, I had the itch for that. So when taking Aaron and Paddy Mahoney, shout out to them two, in Moyglare. That's where I was getting the bug for that. And that's what I felt. Then when I was in Stella with you, I remember you had a midterm thing where you done 3-hour session. You took in the younger group and your age group. And I took the strikers for it. Foxy allowed me to take the strikers. And that was great. But I was looking at the other stuff going, this is no way am I ever going near
You'd be
that.
a
And
good
that was
unit
me from a
coach,
young
wouldn't he?
age.
Yeah.
He'd be a good unit coach.
Yeah, unit coach is different
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, no, it is, to be
There's no like obviously you're
Yeah.
in the team, but it's separation from the other stuff. Coaching all that is no interest in me. But the working with a centre forward and finishing,
Yeah.
all day, no problem. Which is funny, like it's such a specific
If you
niche.
didn't have your own, supplemental coaching company, would you like to be an individual coach? Like that guy for Wolves is like an individual coach within the academies.
Lord knows where I would have ended up. Like if as in
Big in academies now, that.
yeah,
Like,
no, it is. But I don't know if we didn't start training 1-to-1 and go for it, if I would have ended up down the path.
I know what you mean.
Do you know what I mean? Because I could have gone
Like coaching
multiple
at all.
ways, coaching it all.
Yeah,
Would
yeah.
you believe? But it's almost like Joe. People ask me this all the time. It's like must be unreal coaching all day every day. I was like, we coach like less and less now than you'd think. But the hours we do have are very valuable when we are on the pitch. But it's like, luckily for me anyway, I'm sure we all enjoy and not enjoy some things of a job like everyone. But like training 1-to-1 is just is a circle of how many different things we do. Like the amount of different stuff we had to do today, that is just no one else to us anyway would understand because it's so specific to us and all the different skills and tasks and stuff. But the whole collective of it is like you wouldn't change it. But like what I'm saying is that the coaching side of it is only one of them things. That it's not your all day every day, but it's very important. Obviously, we do it well.
The question was, has supplemental training, what was it?
Like the love
negatively-
lost, yeah. Is the case where
I'd actually
football
say
was
it's maybe like more because it's maybe more like noticing details like the scanning and all this. And now when I watch football, I see more than just the football moving around now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's probably made it better, to be honest.
I really like my relationship with football now. I'd say it's found its home at the minute. I like it.
Also, this is kind of related to more so kind of players. Do you know what I've been thinking about the last couple of days, and I used to communicate this a lot as a young coach. I was like, the idea of, right, if you want to get good at something, you have to be obsessed with it. That's getting thrown around a lot now. Is that good or a bad thing to say about something? Because obsession is like almost, it could be detrimental if you like drop everything for this one thing and you neglect some really important things, i.e., let's say the most generic one, mental health or whatever. It's like, right, obsession is good when you have the end product, but you hear a lot of people that go obsessed on something and then it just has the polar opposite effect on you.
Well, what's the alternative?
As in, well, like, for example, would you say you're obsessed with your day-to-day life at the moment, like your work?
Yeah, I can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah, but you separate from it a lot.
Are you saying from...
I'm saying obsessed where you won't go and like spend a couple more hours watching TV because you're like, right, I have to be up at this time. Have to be up at this time.
I don't know, man.
That's hyper obsession.
Yeah, but
Do you mean on one thing or across?
On one thing.
So like, let's say
One
it's
thing.
like training 1-to-1, for example. We were just like,
Yeah.
it's all we
But
do.
So that means no relationships, no time, no nothing. Just that. That's what I mean. That's hyper obsession.
yeah, I think there's a place for it, if I'm being honest with you. I think I've been there sometimes where you do 12-hour days for 2 months straight and you're dead by the end of it and you're nearly going insane. And then you kind of need to you need to work your way back. It's not, I wouldn't say it's healthy or optimal, but it's definitely productive and it definitely has got us to some levels of success.
Oh, definitely.
But like, it's not a long-term game, in my opinion. It's not. But I mean, there's different people. Like, there's some people, like even with Twitter, for example, they fired 70% of their workforce. The 30% of people there take no better joy than being locked into coding for 12 hours a day. and can't imagine the world other than that. So they're just obsessed with that idea, and it suits their everything. But that's the thing about about some people. There are some people that are willing to sacrifice family, friends, and everything for material success, or like to be the CEO. And
That's what you want to do.
I mean, yeah. But I mean, those people are creating Tesla. Like, they're creating electric vehicles. They're building bridges. They're innovating technology. You know what I mean? So what are you going to say? Like, don't do it. Let's just stay like as cavemen. You know what I mean?
There's a place for it.
I think there's a place for
Yeah.
people like that who have that personality trait.
Yeah, I would say so.
Are you saying about like the common man? Like,
I would no. I'm just saying in general, because in football we communicate to a lot of kids, and a lot of coaches will throw out going, right, if you want to be professional, you have to be obsessed, but you don't have to be. Like to
I think to be like a Premier League footballer, I think.
yeah, but yeah, right. But then you look at how many footballers aren't hyper obsessed with football.
Well, I'm not saying you need to be like. It's not about like your food, your discipline. I think you need to be hyper obsessed with.
We're obsessed with being a footballer or obsessed with the sport of football? There's a difference.
Yeah, I would say with
Obsessed with being a footballer.
being a footballer.
Because
Not
you don't
football-
have to love football to be a footballer,
Yeah.
technically.
So-
like, obviously.
Yeah, but there's a lot of players you could name out that one probably don't love football,
Yeah,
and two aren't treating themselves like a full time footballer, but yet they're still in the game.
Like, then is the question really what makes a successful footballer? It's not obsession. I
Yeah,
think in
but
some
like
cases it
what I'm
is.
saying is to say to someone that you need to be obsessed with this, then that's the only alternative. That's a bad thing to communicate.
Poor. It's very poor communication.
That's what I'm saying.
It's
That's a dangerous
uneducated.
thing to
It is
to
dangerous.
communicate.
Yeah, no, it is. Because, like, sorry, if that was your original question, yeah, that is a dangerous thing to say. I think what people should be really looking for is the true self. You know, is your true self somebody that's willing to sacrifice that time? Like, if you were to sit on the edge, if you were to sit at the edge of your bed and ask yourself the question, like, what am I willing to sacrifice here? Like, and ask those hard questions, then I mean, more power to you. But like, don't lie to yourself, you know. But I personally think the best balance is dipping in and out to work that you like. You know, you're really in the groove when you're doing a project and you forget to eat, you forget to check your phone, you forget to get up and walk. You know what I mean? And like, that's a great.
We get that a lot.
I wouldn't tell.
I would say.
Well, I got a few times last week anyway.
Yeah, same.
Which
I was
is
going to say last week.
amazing.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, it's the same with coaching. Like, how many times have you done like an exercise and training, like a drill, and you don't want to stop? It's like you're just in it. You know what I mean? But like, that's a little spell of obsession.
So picking and choosing moments, I think, is very important. So knowing that you can go for 3 months where you're like, I have to be,
Well, yeah,
and you're not even looking elsewhere. It's just
the
like
use
all
case
in.
is very important. You know what I mean?
Anyway, my overall question was about like communicating to players that they must be obsessed, and that's it.
Well, I think that's dangerous.
I would think dedication to craft is important, but I don't know if obsession is the right
There's a
word.
better
You
way
should be
to
obsessed
word
with being better.
Yeah.
Across your life. That is going to fall into football and being a better person anyway. Like that more so, that would be a better message. But yeah, I agree. Not full on into that, you know?
Not obsessed with football, just obsessed with being better. Definitely.
Yeah.
Again, every time we talk on a podcast, it's just about self-awareness.
That's
Knowing
the
yourself,
key, man.
isn't it?
But it is the key. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, it's not talked about enough, I don't think, sometimes. But there is a lot of people in football that are in autopilot and refuse to take the blinkers off.
Every walk of life, but definitely football because we see it a lot.
But they're going the wrong way. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm not saying I'm going the right way, but I'm definitely putting the brakes on and looking both ways. See what the story is like.
Scan frequency, love that, son. Love that. Criticals.
And recency.
Ooh. Papa G.
I do my study for Gary.
I have another podcast for you to listen to with him on it.
I haven't listened to the Klinsman one yet, though.
Klinsman.
Oh, not Klinsman.
Pep Linders.
Pep Linders.
United. There's a United question in here. Do you want to answer a United question?
No,
Go on.
no, I don't. Well, I'm going to sit out of this one.
Go on.
Is this the one Darzan?
Yeah. Do you see United competing for the league in the next 5 years?
No.
If Ten Hag remains.
And you see, you're different on this with the players and all. It's rotten from the top, and it just doesn't work. Like the stuff on, do you see the stuff on the signings? Only being given 3 signings per window. Like,
I agree with that. I'm saying
Hey everyone, sorry for interrupting the podcast. For the last 15 minutes of this episode, we had a slight mic issue, which will be resolved for the next episode. We decided to leave it in because there's some good conversation had between the three of us, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the podcast.
For culture to change, culture overall, everything kind of needs to change from top down, which is great. But the cop out with that is do my head in.
Yeah, it goes both ways.
Come on.
To answer the question, no, unless City fall off a cliff.
That's the thing. They're all going. Whoosh, and they just can't seem to catch him. Liverpool are bang, right back up there. Chelsea. Whoosh, even Newcastle. Whoosh,
Spurs.
everyone.
Lead Spurs.
Spurs lose their best player and become better. Something
Everyone's
else.
just going up. And we just
sound as well.
that's the thing. Seem to do anything right.
So no, to answer it, no. They're not going to 5 years. Where have we finished the last 5 years? Third?
Third.
God knows where. With Rani. Were we in Europe? Did we finish fifth or something?
I'll get it up. May as well get it up. You can keep chatting there. But like, Jesus Christ.
I gotta guess 5 years ago. The 5 years ago must have been Jose time, wasn't it?
Mourinho's second was the best. It was in the last 10 years.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Look at that here. Right. For the moment.
Who was the gaffer before Rani? Ollie, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Ollie. Right.
The mic more.
Huh?
Just gotta speak into the mic.
Right. Third. Sixth under Ralph. Second under Ollie. He was
Oh yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But that was the year,
Everyone fell off a cliff.
yeah,
Liverpool and City and all
the
that.
fake second.
But also, we got third the year before that. Considering the squad we had,
Yeah, that's not
overachieved. Then sixth, Jose had second. Then sixth with Jose. Fifth to Van Gaal. Fourth to Van Gaal. Seventh with Giggsy towards the end of the year. And then literally from Ferguson. First, second, second. Jesus Christ. It's crazy, isn't it? It's not even that long ago.
Like if the best we've done is second under Jose, and we weren't competing either of them seconds, were we? Like with Ollie,
No, there was distance.
That's
Like,
what
there
it
was,
is.
there was grave distance.
So we weren't even competing, and like City are freaks at the minute. Arsenal were muck back then.
And Arsenal, we didn't even mention Arsenal there.
Ugh, no.
They're so
No,
far
we
ahead of
won't.
us. They're so
No.
far ahead of us. Culture-wise,
Yeah, but Arsenal were
they're
miles behind it for years, lads. You know what I mean?
They had, but yeah.
Who knows
They
what's around the corner?
see what they done. I'm not too sure of the ownership and how Arsenal runs, but they seem to always have been a very well-run club.
The big thing when Wenger was there was they were paying off the stadium for years.
Yeah, right.
So imagine
But
that's
then
what
when he came in, Arteta came in and he got rid of the bad eggs. He got rid of Laka and he got rid of Aubameyang. And I was like, right, we've a lot of young players. We've recruited really well. And then, obviously, a couple of things fall into place. And now they're competing. Like, they're in the round.
in United's current situation. So if you're saying if nothing changed in the ownership rat bar, just like Ten Hag is given 5 years. No.
Yeah.
There's too much to overhaul in the squad that they can't do quick enough.
So, let's say Ten Hag is given all the backing in the world for the next 5 years. And I don't mean backing as in money, like everything. Owners leave, whatever. You get rid of the bad eggs, still that are definitely still in the club, so on and so forth. And you give him the best possible scenario.
Yeah, it's just hard to tell what that will look like.
You just don't know. Man.
Yeah, it's hard to know.
But the current situation, there's no chance.
It's
so bleak at the moment.
It is. It's too far in the future.
Like,
It's
if United finish top 4 this year, it's a massive achievement, I would say. Given, like, how brutal we are and how good everyone else is.
The start, like, you can have a bad start to the season or whatever, but, like, it's very bad.
Don't lose your first 2 Champions League games.
Very bad.
Don't lose to Palace at home.
It's very bad.
After beating.
Very bad.
Next question.
Yeah, that's actually depressing.
Very bad.
Yeah.
Very bad.
Skip.
Yeah, black. Very bad. Very bad.
Could be worse, could be Chelsea fan. Sorry, Aaron and Vin.
I think I've got, excuse me. I'm going to pick one more. There's a
Yeah,
couple.
I'm tired of shit.
You what? Shaquille O'Neal?
I said I'm tired of shit. We're on the pitch today. I'm just knackered today.
Schnoozing.
I'm just losing diet though. It's like you in the quiz that time where
We were me, Kinger, and Morgan were smooth.
Bring Kinger back for a feature. Get one on the
definitely.
laptop.
Definitely. We need to do a Christmas quiz again.
He had some great moments on this podcast. Do you remember the one where he's just there? We're talking about Tyrone Mings for 10 minutes, and then he just goes, Tyrone Mings.
He's a good shit.
You miss Kinger. Kinger has some great shows, football shows.
Terrible.
No, what's his like? He's great manner or football sayings and all. I don't know. I can't think of one now. But he has some good ones.
Figure it out.
Figure it out.
That's one of our most viewed podcasts
Is it?
on YouTube. Yeah.
The pyramids
Why
one.
the algorithm loved that from a football page producing what are the pyramids? It was the thumbnail. If you go back and look at it, it says pyramids. What's the story?
That was the aliens watching the video to see what humans think about
Oh,
it nowadays.
I think that could be it.
Go on, one more question for the
I think
ditch.
that could be it. I'm trying to look through them here. See.
Why is Gary Big so
Some of
hostile
them
every
we
Tuesday?
kind of answered some of them while we were going along.
Oh.
So I think we're pretty much out. Covered a lot. Let me just double check.
Yeah, that's okay.
Thanks, Gary.
In the meantime, Gary, would you ever go back to coaching like a 13s team? Or are you like 17s onward now?
Sorry, it's just me yawn. I'd have no issue with.
Just tell me you go back to 13s, Liga Mart. 14, sorry. With those friendly fixtures.
I forgot about that. Shane Larson talked about that. Do you just mean just going down the ages again?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think I have a problem working across the ages.
Because you told me about 2 years ago that you wouldn't go back.
Oh, did it?
Wow. Okay, disregard all the questions.
Wow.
Caught lack.
Daily exposed.
After 15s, yeah.
A lot changed in 2 years.
Is it?
No, I think
Interesting.
I think for where I wanted to keep going up the ages to kind of work across all the ages. Just get a feel for it all. But
A lot changes in 2 years, though.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, big time.
Like, we said some things in this podcast that now I look back on it. Jesus, what were we saying?
Like what?
Well, when this is bad, this is very bad. I was only thinking about this year. I go, oh,
Maguire and Van Dijk.
Van Dijk. No, it wasn't. It was we had Maguire and Van Dijk. It was like Maguire versus Joe Matip, who wasn't playing in like any games at the time. Like this was very old, and this is when Maguire was kind of just getting into United. So it was early doors. Maguire still, I feel so bad for that man. By the way, I feel so bad for him. Like seriously,
such a bad
nothing is going well for him. Every time he comes out, he just scores an own goal. Like you can't write this stuff. You really can't. I feel so bad for him. And the treatment of him is disgraceful, by the way. Whatever about not playing, that doesn't bother me. The media, shocking. They play into the whole narrative. Even like opposition teams on their TikToks now. That's another thing I'd love to talk about. Opposition teams taking the piss. You see Napoli now getting punished for it. With
it's their own player.
yeah, that was so dumb. So dumb.
Literally their best player
By the
as
way,
well.
he's just using that as a scapegoat.
Oh,
He wants
absolutely.
out. He was like, right, we won the league. Get me out of here. So that's his scapegoat. He's gone in January because of that, without a doubt. But
That's bad.
other clubs using footage and clips, it infuriates me. It is the most unprofessional thing, and people just laugh about it now. Sky Sports put up something the other day. The most unprofessional thing I've ever seen. So where do we draw the line on these things? They just seem to just slowly integrate the way into culture, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's great," until something goes wrong.
Isn't it funny? Like you think of a club doing that. The clubs have social media pages across all the different platforms. They'd have a LinkedIn page, let's say, and it'd be real, like professional. But would that be the same team who are then posting the TikTok, slagging another club?
It depends. I know a lot of them would have very specific TikTok creators, because that's exact.
But it would not all be within the social media
They
department.
might
Where
be,
they'd
but
have
they'd
somebody
communicate
manages the
differently.
LinkedIn team. Someone,
It depends on the club.
but isn't it matter like they'd go look at us on LinkedIn, so business professional, and then like 2 minutes later their TikTok page is posting.
My biggest
slagging
problem
somebody.
It's disrespect.
It makes sense for Ryanair to do
Mm-hmm.
content like that because that's what their business model is. They're
Yeah.
very famous for that, like cheap cut
Their
corners
Twitter is quite
idea.
funny, to be fair.
Yeah, and they're great at it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense for a professional football.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so they tried to come across like we're serious, like whatever on certain
It's,
things.
it's marketing people who don't understand sports.
City do the best. City do it best. They do little to no nonsense. They have been making the most aesthetic, all that England content everyone loves. They've been doing that for 10 years.
No,
Unbelievable. So clean. They get better at it every single year. all their graphics, all their thumbnails, their content in general. It makes you feel part of the club, and I hate it, but it makes you feel part of the club, and you just can't help but watch and be so impressed by everything they do. And that stems from the owners all the way down through the business, and that's how they communicate their model, and it's amazing. It really is. Then you go to Wolves, who just post horrendous videos slagging our teams, and they get tongued to the weekends. Like, what are we doing here? That's what, like you like that. You're saying that's not your model. Don't act like that just because it's TikTok and you're like, oh, it's all a big joke. People probably look more and take a break, like relax. It's only a bit of joke. I completely disagree with it. Like I think it's heavily disrespectful to whoever they pop off. Whatever about young kids and editors doing stuff slagging football, it's like that's just the nature of it. But a professional football club doing it,
that is also fueling. That idea of posting that as a club is actually fuel, because young people see it and go, oh, that's gas, that club posted that.
Yeah.
And then
But that's what I'm saying.
they might do it about, or they might do it about someone in their school, and then all of a sudden it's bullied. Like, that's what I mean. The social responsibility of social media is massive, you know?
I think it's just wrong. I think it's wrong. I think it's one of my biggest pet peeves.
Yeah, no.
It infuriates me every time I see something about it.
Is that because you're just so used to creating content for your own brand and vision that it needs to reflect you as a person, that you can see through the cracks of what an organisation like that is?
But that's probably one reason for it. But again, I think just from a football perspective, I always think you gotta come across. Well, not saying you can't have a personality and stuff, but it's gotta be done the right way.
But
I just feel
across
like that across
platforms, I don't think I know the content is slightly targeted a little bit, but it's not like we act really super professional here and then we're slagging people on another platform.
Yeah,
that's what I'm
it's
saying.
consistent.
Like these clubs will come across real professional on their Instagram or their LinkedIn or whatever it might be, and then on their TikTok they're just like trying to be a Panther account.
And
whereas ours is so, I know, like,
If I'm not mistaken, our content is the same colour grade, same tone of voice, same everything across.
It's across the board, but that's how we feel we should run it. I.e., YM, this is where it's coming from. Like, obviously, like you said, that is a big factor to it. This is how we function, or how we think, I should say. But like, it just winds me up. Like, the problem is, from let's say Wolves' perspective, they're going to get all the followers and the engagement, and it's great. Like, it's going to sell, but that doesn't mean it's right. You know, that doesn't mean that it's right, and that's my biggest problem with it. Those TikTok creators, like, lovely. Like, I'm doing my job right. Look at the views. Look at the interactions. I think I'd say people in those jobs just lose themselves then. Of like, what is the message here? What are we actually trying to do and achieve? Apart from getting a couple of clicks and a laugh and slagging people and slagging clubs. That's a disrespect to some of the smaller clubs. Like again, United are a joke club at the moment, but popping off United, popping off a City. Lads, relax. Come on. Like, I'm so against it. Against it. Goes against everything I believe in.
Know what you are. If you're Ryanair, that's your game.
Yeah, and like you, perfect example. They play for that because that's exactly what their model is like.
But they enjoy antagonising people.
Yeah, they love it.
They know
they know
how ridiculous.
Exactly, and they play to it. That's it. Again, you can say that's right or wrong, but it's consistent.
Well, I mean, it's exactly, but they don't try to hide anything. Like, you can't come at me. Imagine somebody trying to sign you for Wolves, right? Imagine it's like when you go to sign for a company to work. You look at their Glassdoor reviews, you look at their LinkedIn page. They're like, oh, this is consistent. You're going to go sign for Wolves. You look at their TikTok and go, I wouldn't want to be a part of this.
Exactly.
There's just disconnect.
Yeah.
I hate, disconnect to me is a real red flag anyway. I'm not saying that you should be ultra professional, but Ryanair, for example, they're not ultra professional. You know what I mean?
But they are them.
But they are authentically them. I will pay, for example, with our holiday we booked there, I will authentically buy, I'm not using the wrong word, I will wholeheartedly buy a Ryanair flight knowing what I'm getting into. Because they communicate exactly what they are.
Yeah.
But if Aer Lingus were to disappoint me like that, I'd be furious. But if Ryanair did, it was like,
it's just
expect it.
But that's what piss. But this is what pisses me off.
You didn't say you were fatigued.
I'm going to smack this thing here as well. That's what pisses me off with people who get annoyed at Ryanair as well.
Yeah,
It's like, you know what you're getting into.
I do get pissed off right now, but also, I'm not going to tweet about it because I know I signed up for this.
Yeah.
I also don't have a Twitter account, but that's another thing.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I smacked the mic there as well.
Yeah. No, you're right. And I do strongly believe, as I probably said 40 times already, but I do strongly believe every touch point should somewhat convey what you're on.
Luxury fashion brands are great at it.
Yes.
the best ones.
Yeah.
Like
Don't see-
Burberry have been communicating the same message for years now. And they had nearly a pure disaster. Remember all the road men started taking up their pants and all, they had to rejig it.
Joe's a funny one, yeah. I'm getting these TikTok ads by Old Polly or Shein, right?
Yeah.
Terrible service, right? Their ads are terrible. It's the most perfect correlation. Things like that. It's like you see it as like you won't fool me. But now they have it very consistent. But there's some companies
won't fool
yeah,
me.
you won't fool. Because some companies come with this big glossy ad. And you go onto the website and you're like, give over.
Yeah,
Give
can't-
over.
can't.
You can't fake it, like.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's that. No more questions. A ramble to FC there.
Yeah. Well, that was justified, and if anything, it should have been addressed earlier.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming. Whatever you're doing, this thing is going away from me. Whatever you're doing today, man or woman, do well.
That was very nice. Yeah.
Good. All right. Yeah. See you. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah.